Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast presented by BetMGM. It is Wednesday, October 11th. We have 3 MLB postseason games to get to. Brendan Glasheen joined by Charlie DeSturco and BJ Cunningham, contributors at Action Network. You can find both of them in the Action Network app. Articles, picks, they do a great job covering baseball for us. We are here every weekday, Monday through Friday during the baseball postseason. Be sure to join us. If you haven't done so already, please leave a 5-star rating and review. We can take as many reviews as you'd like. We'll pick some of our favorites. We've done so already. We handed out a winner last week. Those who are selected receive a 1-year subscription to Action Pro. We gave out a winner on Monday based on last week's results, so we appreciate it. Continue to do so if you enjoy listening to the podcast. We have Braves Phillies Game 3, series tied 1-1. Series shifts to Philadelphia. Astros Twins, that's a Game 4, so I should be clear. We have a couple of Game 3s and a Game 4. Game 4, Astros Twins. Series remains in Minnesota with the Astros leading 2-1. They throttled the Twins yesterday, and the Dodgers and D-backs meet for their Game 3. Arizona leads the series 2-0, a chance to close out the Dodgers tonight. We'll go right in order based on time of game. Braves Phillies, our first matchup. Aaron Nola's on the mound for Philadelphia, Charlie. Murkiness surrounding the status of the Braves starter. A lot to dive into there based on how you want to play this game. The pricing as of now at BetMGM, Phillies minus 125 on the money line, totals at 9. Give us the latest on what you're feeling based on reports about what Atlanta might do and how that factors in.
Yeah, so a lot's going on in this Atlanta game. Right before we hopped on, it seems like AJ Smith-Shawver is going to get the start for Atlanta, but in any way, I can't see him going deep into this game. Regardless, I expect Bryce Elder to kind of come on for a couple innings as well. I'm sitting on a Phillies NLCS ticket at plus 800, so as far as this game goes, I lean the Phillies overall. I'm one of the guys that's extremely high on Aaron Nola, and all season long I have been, and he's a guy that usually pitches like worse than expectation, right around a 3.75 xERA, his actual ERA almost a run higher. And now a lot of that goes because of his barrel rate, and that's something that I'm a bit concerned about with this Braves offense. That it felt like they were asleep behind the wheel for 14, 15 innings in this series, and all of a sudden they woke up and they started crushing the ball. And that's not great when you look at how Aaron Nola fares. He does have great control and a high chase rate, but his biggest issue is that he'll give up a lot of fly balls and has a decently high barrel rate. So when I look at this game, I lean the Phillies. We've seen with Smith-Shawver, he'll probably only pitch a couple innings, maybe 2 to 3. He hasn't pitched much, dealt with an injury, and really hasn't been in the bigs and seen big league action of late. And we've seen, every single young arm that's kind of pitched in this playoffs, they've struggled. Grayson Rodriguez came up. He struggled. You look at the Dodgers, Bobby Miller was not able to get through 2 innings. Plenty of young arms. Brandon Pfaadt, who's on the mound, and we'll talk about later today, had to get taken out early in this Brewers series. And if it wasn't for a late comeback from the offense, the Brewers probably win that game 1. So I'm not so high on the combo of Smith-Shawver and Elder. I lean Phillies. The angle that I would be taking, there's a couple here. Look at Bryce Harper, total bases, and hit a home run. Feels like Bryce Harper's, the most clutch guy on the Phils, especially in October. Kyle Schwarber as well. Both of them crush right-handed pitching. Harper at 144 WRC plus and nearly split proof. He has a very high WRC plus against left-handed pitching too. A 200 ISO. It seems like he's really gotten that power under control. And obviously, I don't have to tell you twice about Schwarber's power. And then real quickly, if you look at if Sean Murphy starts the game, I'd say don't play this. But if Travis d'Arnaud does get the start behind the dish, Harper plus 560 to steal a base and Turner plus 310 to steal a base are more than live. Murphy is an above average catcher when it comes to catching runners stealing, and d'Arnaud is one of the worst, as you've heard Anthony mention plenty of times. And Harper, I really love Harper to make an impact on this game. And whether it's a walk and a steal, a double, a homer, whatever it is, I'll be probably playing most Bryce Harper props. I'm waiting for the official announcement and the plan because there's so much murkiness. but lean Phillies, sitting on my NLCS ticket, looking Harper props, maybe even a Trey Turner and a Schwarber prop, depending on how the lineup gets dished out.
So you're very much into the Phillies side of things. You mentioned Nola, and also you went right through their lineup props you might like. So this is the latest from Kevin McAlpin. We're recording, by the way, on a Wednesday morning. So when you're listening, we might have more news. So bear with us. Kevin McAlpin, Braves Radio Network pre- and post-game host. Best guess, Braves go with A.J. Smith-Shawver for the first few innings. Then they piggyback with Bryce Elder one time through and then line up their pen however they see fit. Still reading from McAlpin. Saw the Morton rumors last night, but would be shocked if it happened. I'm not sure what that last part means. Meaning
he's because he's hurt right now, so that he would have to come back, get put into the roster, and start. Which, I mean, if Charlie Morton starts, I mean, take the Phillies. That is a take the Phillies spot.
Okay.
Charlie Morton is done. The only chance that they have is by using these young arms in Smith-Shawver and Elder. And I'm not too high on them. The reason why I target the Phillies here, and especially in the prop market, is because Nola has the ability to go out and throw 7 shutout, and he has a high chase rate, and he's got a high ceiling. If you want to target him, it would be in the stolen base prop market or maybe a Matt Olson homer. But I feel more comfortable targeting a guy like Smith-Shawver or Elder, both of which have low strikeout rates and decently high hard hit rates, which could lead to one thing lead to another, especially for young arms. You could see a spiral, especially in such a high leverage situation.
Smith-Shawver, BJ, 6 appearances in the regular season. His last appearance was at the end of September against Chicago, the Cubs. He's 20 years old, 6'3", 205, right-hander. You factor in everything with this situation, the latest series price at BetMGM. Braves are still the favorites at -145, Philadelphia plus 120. How are you processing all of this news? And for the record, when you go to BetMGM, when you look at the pitcher props, Elder's props are available for the outs, the strikeouts. It's fascinating. I think the books are still pretty confused as to what the hell's going on here. So where are you at? What can you play now based on what we know and what we don't know?
I find it interesting because we thought obviously Bryce Elder was going to get the start and the Phillies opened around -115, and price really hasn't moved that much. Yeah. And I would expect that, the news of Smith-Shawver pitching, who is a better pitcher than Bryce Elder, I would expect the Braves to take a little bit of money there. But really what's happened is that it's basically stayed exactly the same. Yeah, there's just a lot of murkiness going on here, especially for these first 5 innings. It's really tough to play a side or a total here when we don't know what the Braves are actually going to do. But diving into some props, I think Kyle Schwarber is a fantastic option if you want to go with the prop. Smith-Shawver is a very heavy fastball pitcher. Kyle Schwarber is the best hitter against right-handed pitching that the Phillies have. He's their best hitter against fastballs too. So that would be where I would target potentially a prop for them. Matt Olson's obviously a very good option for the Braves, as always. Crushes right-handed pitching. So, in terms of a projection, I know Sean had this projected at -116, assuming that Elder was getting the start. Now I would expect that Smith-Shawver, who, 25 innings is a small sample size, but only a 3.7 expected ERA, so decent numbers there. But his xFIP was pretty high. It's very, very tough to play a side or a total with what we don't know. And it makes it very interesting going forward in this series, because if the Braves decide that they pitch Smith-Shawver and they decide, we're not going to go with Elder, or we're just going to go with somebody else, and they try to empty the bullpen, they better pray to God that Spencer Strider can give them a good start in Game 4. So it makes this series very, very interesting. Series price is the Braves are slightly favored going into Game 3 here. I wouldn't play the series price at its current number, just with Strider sitting there in Game 4. So it's just a lot of weirdness going on. I think there's some other spots to target in the other 2 games today, but if anything, I'll probably be playing some Kyle Schwarber total bases over 1.5, which is plus 125.
Yeah. For what it's worth, our friend DeBundo, I texted him last night and I was like, Harper ? And he said Schwarber. So I like Harper more in this situation across the board, just because it feels like Schwarber's a home run or bust type of player. But I also like, if you want to sprinkle on both of them, I like the more total bases route in Harper than I Schwarber. If he's going to get it, I feel like for the most part, it's coming via the home run, which is where I would look to play him, and I might dabble in on him and Harper to hit a home run, because it just feels that home Philly magic at what is it, 5:15 p.m. Eastern. That's on Wednesday, 5:40, whatever it is. I think the target, the Phillies props, is the way to go in this situation.
AJ Smith-Shawver this year in 25 and a third innings pitched, 7 home runs allowed. He's had 3 appearances in 3 games. He allowed multi home runs in those games. And
yeah, like you said, only about 4 innings pitched since the beginning of August in the major leagues. He's been pitching in the minor leagues after coming off an injury, but yeah, as we've seen with Bobby Miller and all these other rookies, hasn't gone well for rookies. So very difficult spot here, especially in the game 3 with the series tied.
I can't imagine they hang an outs prop for Smith-Shawver, but if they do, and it's 9.5 or 9, like even 8.5, I would look toward the under, because I think I can't imagine the Braves go with Smith-Shawver for more than 2, maybe 3 innings.
He'll see the lineup once, and that's it.
So for what it's worth, keep an eye on that. I don't know if they'll hang a prop because of the insane amount of murkiness, and if Elder doesn't get the start right, and you bet these props, the props don't matter because it cancels out because he's not starting. So
right,
it's a lot of murkiness. That's why you follow us in the app, just to see if anyone makes a play based on the situation at hand. And Sean will have his updated projections and whatnot, and we'll add in props as we see fit based on the matchup.
Yeah, good to point that out about the Elder stuff. The bet would be negged because of the fact he wouldn't start. Also, just looking just for for shits and gigs, Smith-Shawver 4 home runs allowed in 15 starts in the minors this year. So he's a lot better keeping the ball in the ballpark at the minor league level. A lot different. I realize that. And by the way, you brought up Matt Olson against Aaron Nola. 1 home run in his career in 22 at-bats, 5 hits, a couple doubles. He struck out 6 times. Okay. That's a lot to unpack from that first game. It's such a good series, so juicy. And now this wagon of a team, Atlanta. We had questions about their pitching, their mid-tier pitching. And as BJ noted, Spencer Strider, you better have the game of your life in game 4 of today. It did not go well. Let's go to Astros Twins, because we're trying to work with time here. We got 3 games to work with. Houston, 2-1 series lead. They thrash the Twins yesterday. Got a couple of guys on the mound today. Dabundo's not here to sing his praises for Joe Ryan, but looking at the pricing for this matchup, Astros plus 105 on the money line. Charlie, Joe Ryan and the Twins minus 125. Totals at 8. What are we targeting here?
Yeah, I mean, this is my favorite prop of the entire day. It's Yordan Alvarez to record a walk at plus 115, 120. My jaw literally hit the floor when I saw this prop. I was going to come on here with my Chris Raybon impression of, I don't care about the juice. What are you, poor? Like, play up. Yordan Alvarez is not only in the 93rd percentile of all hitters in walk rate. He has a near 15% walk rate, but he's the best hitter on the planet right now. 12 at-bats. He has 6 extra base hits, a home run against Minnesota in every game of this ALDS. I just don't see how Minnesota pitches to Yordan if there's a base open. Corey Seager, game 2 of the ALDS, was walked 5 times. I think the same treatment is going to be given to Alvarez, who is just as good, if not a better hitter and a more scarier hitter than Corey Seager. Intentional walks count toward this prop as well. So for what it's worth, it's just one of those games that if you're in a do or die, an elimination game, and you're going to let Yordan Alvarez swing the bat, then you deserve to lose this one, because you should have anyone else beat you. And if that's how it goes down, that's how it goes down. But the way Yordan Alvarez is swinging and the form that he's in at plus money, I love this bet on Yordan. For what it's worth, dating back to July 31st to yesterday's game, Yordan has played 56 total games. He's walked in 29 of those games, which is just around 52%. So you're telling me the hottest hitter on the planet that already walks in over 50% of the games is available to walk today at plus money? I'm not passing this one up. That's my favorite play of the entire slate today. So Yordan to walk. And then just real quickly, I would look toward Kepler props if you want to bet the Twins side of things. Jose Urquidy, he's okay. I don't think he's going to pitch that deep into this game. I think they'll kind of marry him with JP France. Regardless, both pitchers have high fly ball rates, a higher hard hit, or a higher barrel rate than normal. And Max Kepler is probably one of the better informed Twins right now, as a hit in every single game of this series. So I would look toward Kepler on the prop side of things if you want to play Twins, but Jordan is my favorite play of this slate on Wednesday.
BJ, where is your mind on this game? I'm also curious your thoughts. We talk a lot about this during the regular season, and it becomes it's in the microscope even more so in the playoffs. The Twins only got 4 innings out of Sonny Gray yesterday. They had to use Kenta Maeda. They used Bailey Ober out of the pen. So what's the concern level for Minnesota, and does that give the Astros an edge to close this out today?
It is pretty concerning for Minnesota right now. Now, in terms of an actual game price, if I were to play anything, it would be Minnesota here. I do have them projected at minus 134. But I want to talk a little bit about Joe Ryan, because I am very, very concerned with him in this game. He's had a very, very interesting season. I mean, coming into the season, he was presumably going to be the Twins' #1 guy in their rotation. But as the season has gone along, his stuff has dropped off significantly. And I think Rocco Baldelli choosing to start Bailey Ober over him in game 1 of this series tells you everything you need to know about where Joe Ryan is as a pitcher right now. First half of the season, stuff plus was 102, which is above league average. Since the All-Star break, though, his stuff plus has dropped down to 95. Now, he has been hampered by a groin injury, so that can play into a little bit of maybe why he hasn't been that effective. But the main problem for him is not only like his stuff also down, his fastball has also lost a mile per hour velocity since April, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but for a guy like Ryan who's throwing a fastball close to 56% of the time, it can become a big issue, especially facing an Astros lineup that just crushes fastballs. And outside of his fastball, he only has 2 other pitches, a split finger and a sweeper. His split finger, the stuff plus on that, has dropped from 95 from the first half down to 85 in the second half, and is allowing over a 400 expected weighted on base average. So I don't think Baldelli is going to mess around here. I don't think Ryan's going to see it ordered. I think he's going to see it maybe 2 times through if he gets through all of that and the Astros don't hit him pretty hard. Louis Varland is available as a long reliever in the Twins bullpen. So even though Maeda and Ober pitched yesterday, the Twins do have a long relief option. They don't, and honestly, in a do or die game, everybody's available in the bullpen. And I don't think the Twins are going to mess around. They're going to play matchups with this Astros lineup that is very, very difficult to get out. And Ryan hasn't gone more than he's been under his pitching outs, which is 14.5 right now, which I do like the under. That's where I'm going with this one. He's been under 14.5 outs in 4 of his last 9 starts, which just shows you how ineffective he actually has been. And a couple of those starts, he went right on the dot at 5 innings. So in a do or die game, the Twins, I highly doubt they're going to let Ryan just let him out there unless he pitches really, really well. So that's the only reason why I think he would actually get to this, is if he pitches unbelievable like we saw the Joe Ryan to begin the season, but he just hasn't been that. And this is an incredibly difficult Astros lineup to get out. Best lineup coming into the postseason in terms of weighted on base average over the last 30 days. So Joe Ryan under 14.5 pitching outs is my favorite play for this game. It's going to take a lot to go right for him to get to that 5-inning mark. And I really don't think the Twins are going to mess around. They're going to heavily utilize their bullpen in a do or die game.
I think that this is an incredibly sharp look. I actually will probably join you on this. Watching the game yesterday, you could tell once Sonny Gray gave up that last home run and got taken out of the game, or I guess the home run to Bregman, then it kind of all spiraled out of control. Rocco Baldelli, instead of trying to salvage everything, brought in Kenta Maeda and then brought in Ober and basically used his arms that are not going to make an impact in this game. And he kept every single high leverage arm, which Louis Varland can come in, Chris Paddock can come in, every other top tier arm is going to come in. So if Ryan runs into trouble, he's going to have a quick hook. And also, Brendan, I don't know if you remember this. I think it was me and Tanner might have been on. We were discussing Joe Ryan potentially for game 1 on this podcast. I had liked the Astros team total over. Well, I'm not looking that way because in a do or die situation, I think quick hooks and bullpen and all the matchups that you can make will kind of trends toward an under. I do like the under look here also on Ryan outs, because I can't imagine if he puts a couple runners on in the second or third inning that they're going to let him see the light of day in that second time through the order.
Yeah, he's not going to see the lineup the third time through. So it's going to take a lot for him to go right, and him pitching really, really well to actually get through the lineup twice without allowing a ton of runners on there and get to that 5-inning mark. So it could very well hit, but it's going to take a lot to go right for it to happen.
Juice to -130, under 14.5 outs for Joe Ryan. And for the record, Astros team total today, over 3.5 runs, -130 for Houston.
Yeah, it's just one of those games I don't think you can. Taking a do or die over, obviously it could spiral out of control and one thing leads to another. And if you're down 3-1 in the 7th, the Astros could easily pile one up because it's all motivation, right? But it's just one of those games. I think if you want to target the Astros, it's by taking Yordan walks and Ryan under outs, because I can't imagine that he throws deep into these games.
No, but it's a good call out with Maeda being used as well as Ober, because as you guys said, it can mystify people by thinking, well, they're using their arms. Now, Rocco Baldelli preserved high leverage, as you said, high leverage arms for a spot like today to extend the series in a do or die situation. So it turns out their bullpen might actually, now from a series perspective, they could be in trouble, but from a game by game basis, they might be okay today to survive another game.
Right.
And they just need to get Pablo Lopez. That's all they're hoping for. They need to get through this game and get Pablo Lopez. Gives them the best option in game 5 to win the series.
Dodgers D-backs shifts to the desert. We're in Arizona for game 3. The Diamondbacks can close this out. Charlie, you don't need to remind me what we talked about Friday. I've already done it Monday and Tuesday. I'm in shambles because of the hedge I placed on the Dodgers. Anywho, Lance Lynn's on the mound to try and extend their season. Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. The pricing at BetMGM. Let me pull it up. I had it here a second ago. Here we go. Dodgers on the money line are favored, -135. Brandon Pfaadt and the Diamondbacks +115. Totals at 10. So the total has risen since we last discussed on Payoff Pitch. And I would imagine the series price has changed slightly as well. Zerillo said it might be worth a look to get the Dodgers at +500. He saw value there. That number's come down. Where are you at for this game 3 and the trajectory of the rest of this series?
Yeah, I mean, just from the game by game perspective aside in total, I just can't get behind anything right now. I expected the Dodgers to roll, and they've done anything but that. If they win today, I do think that they can put together 3 in a row. It's just a matter of if the bats wake up, which they had all the chances in the world in game 2 to make a comeback, and they blew every single shot that they had. So from that perspective, I'm not touching aside total series price, whatever it is. I'm looking toward Lance Lynn instead. Demunda put this in the app, and I wholeheartedly echo this statement on his over 11.5 outs. Since joining the Dodgers, he's been much better with limiting hard hit rate and pitching a little bit more to contact. And if you look at his ERA perspective, the first half, his ERA was above 9, his second half, just slightly above 4, but you look a little bit deeper into that. And for the majority, outside of a couple of blowups, he's been a lot better. And this is a Dodgers team that obviously it's a do or die elimination game, but it's also a team that has completely been just throwing every arm they can, multiple innings to just get and try and keep this game salvageable, or game 2 salvageable. So I think Dave Roberts is expecting a lot out of Lance Lynn, whether it's, 4 or 5 innings. If he can get that way, that's what they're kind of asking for him. His walk rate has kind of left a little bit this season compared to last, but he had an elite one last year. And if you look at his just a little bit underlying metrics, he has the highest first strike percentage over his last 2 years than he did in his entire career. So the key for the D-backs, or to beating the D-backs, is by pitching in the zone and forcing them to put the ball in play, because they're extremely aggressive on the paths. They're not afraid to steal. And you could tell pitchers get uneasy when they're on the base paths, because guys like even Christian Walker are stealing bases with ease against these teams. So over 11.5 outs, I think that unless he gets shelled similar to Bobby and Kershaw, that he's going to get 4 innings in here, whether it's 1 or 2 runs or less. I just can't see them pulling him quickly, a veteran that's, in a do or die situation for someone else, especially if you can keep this game close or win, then you save Pepio for game 4, which they absolutely need to do if they want any chance at winning. Because if you're throwing out Kershaw for 2 to 3 innings game 4, I mean, it's curtain calls.
Not great, Lance Lynn, though, in his career in the postseason. 5.28 ERA, 5-5 record, has started 8 games. Not thrilled about that for the Dodgers to extend the series.
I mean,
he hasn't been good in September either. He's been really, really bad. So that's the concern here.
Yeah, he was hurt, right? He pitched or he was paternity leave or bereavement, something like that, and he pitched in a simulated game. I mean, listen, there's a lot, but like, I'm like, it's just one of those games that I think you got to go down with the ship here, and you got to back Lance Lynn to do something well. I can't fathom betting the Dodgers money line. In fact, if you want to bet a side, I would even say probably take the plus money with the D-backs at this point, because I can't tell if the Dodgers bats are a corpse or not, and Mookie Betts is absolutely abysmal right now. So I was debating on firing Mookie Betts props. I think that's not a bad option with Fott. Fott gives up a lot of hard hits, a lot of barrels and home runs. And we saw that he kind of spiraled out of control at times against Milwaukee. Just was able to mitigate damage with his strikeouts and swing and miss stuff. But yeah, I don't know if this Dodgers team is just a corpse or not, but Lynn's 36. He doesn't have that many postseason starts left. So this is his last chance to kind of do something.
Mookie, Freddie Freeman, both at 1.5 total bases, and Betts is at -105, Freeman -120.
And Freeman is, I mean, I assume he's healthy, but that foul ball off his knee looked bad.
Yeah, that double play ball wasn't helpful either the other night. I'm very
right after he fouled it off his knee, and I knew once he put it on the ground, he wasn't getting it first.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself but get that in there. BJ, your thoughts on Game 3, and do the Dodgers have any life?
I don't know. I'm really concerned about Lance Lynn and how he's been pitching down the stretch here. And from what we've seen from Dave Roberts so far, I'm concerned that the leash might be a little bit short, especially in a do or die game, that Emmett Sheehan might come in right after Lynn, or maybe, my guess is they're hoping they get to a Game 4 and they can pitch Pepio and Sheehan or some type of combination of that. But if things go wrong, you might see Ryan Pepio up in the pen and ready to go here if Lynn gets into trouble. But the one angle that I'll go on here, because, I only have the Dodgers projected at -112. So you could make a case for Arizona, but, Fott hasn't been, like Charlie mentioned, Fott wasn't really that good against the Brewers, and going up against a really good Dodgers lineup is kind of concerning. Has pitched better since coming back from the minors on July 22nd, only a 3.9 xFIP, almost a 10 K per 9 rate. But the one angle I'll give here, I just looked this up as we were talking. Arizona team total for stolen bases over a half is -125. Lance Lynn gets really flustered when guys are on base. This season, with runners on base, 302 batting average allowed, 514 xFIP. Will Smith is a very average catcher from behind the plate at throwing runners out. He's only thrown 9 runners out in 54 attempts. So with a team like Arizona that we know, I know, a team like Arizona that loves to run the way that they do and is the best team at base running in baseball, to get one stolen base at -125 against a pitcher who can't hold runners and an average catcher is too short for me. So Arizona team total over a half stolen base at -125 is the one angle I'll give for this game. But I will say this. I'm not gonna go against Charlie and my good friend Anthony DeBundo, but when I was doing my research last night, I thought Lance Lynn under 11.5 outs seemed kind of high, given where he's been pitching and given that it's a do or die game. So that's all I'll say. I'm not gonna go against them. I'm not gonna bet it, but I'll just say, in my opinion, it looked a little high.
The thing is that if you use Pepio, right, and you salvage this game, and you take Lynn after 1 run or 2 runs in the second or third inning, then you're relying on Kershaw and Sheehan in Game 4.
But you got to get there, Charlie. It doesn't matter. Like
I know, but I feel like this is one of those games that, like, well, okay, and also this is one of those games. If the Dodgers start scoring runs, Lynn will get put out there
that's
until
true.
he gives up 3 to 4 runs.
Yep.
It's if they put up 0 again and they look like a corpse that maybe the change happens. My thought is that instead of taking a Dodgers money line or a D-backs money line, I'm hoping that the Dodgers bats wake up, and I relying on the veteranship of Lynn and a guy that's been pounding the strike zone for good and bad. The D-backs like to take a lot of pitches and work the counts, and obviously the stolen bases stuff is a concern. But yeah, I just think that maybe the market's a little bit overreactive to how Bobby Miller and Kershaw fared, which, I mean, and I could be dead wrong on this, and he could get pulled in the second or third inning or less again.
2 appearances for Brandon Pfaadt against the Dodgers in August 30th in LA. 4 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, 2 home runs allowed, 90 pitches. Again, the pitch count really doesn't matter for this stage, right? Because he could get pulled. The Diamondbacks bullpen's in good shape. And August 8th, home in Arizona against the Dodgers. 4 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Okay. And, oh, by the way, the Dodgers team total juiced to -150 over 4.5 runs. That sucks. The number. Could they get there? Yeah. Sure. But you get plus money at 5.5.
Yeah.
If the Dodgers make this fun and extend this series, we will talk about them tomorrow, because that means we would have a game 4. We know for sure we'll have a game 4 between the Phillies and the Braves. So we could talk about 1 game tomorrow. It could be 2. We'll see what the Dodgers are made of. But that is what you can look forward to on Payoff Pitch on Thursday. DeBundo and Tanner. Oh, Tanner. Oh, if the Dodgers get knocked out tonight, I can't wait to talk to Tanner McGrath tomorrow. I kind of hope they win, though, to keep this thing going and for the sake of discussion and more baseball. For Charlie DeSturco and BJ Cunningham, Brendan Glasheen, thanks for listening, everybody. Again, please leave that 5-star rating and a review. We'll talk to you again on Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast, presented by BetMGM tomorrow. Best of luck.